You were never meant to question. You were meant to obey. From the moment you stepped into that classroom at 5 years old, sat in those perfect rows, raised your hand for permission to speak, to think, to exist, you were being trained, not educated, trained. And the most terrifying part? You never even noticed. Let me take you back to the beginning, not your beginning, but the beginning of the system itself. The modern education system wasn't born from a desire to enlighten humanity. It was born from factories, from the Industrial Revolution's insatiable hunger for obedient workers who could follow instructions without deviation, who could perform repetitive tasks without complaint, who could sacrifice their dreams at the altar of productivity. Prussia designed the blueprint in the 1800s, a system so efficient at creating compliant citizens that it spread across the world like wildfire. America adopted it, Britain embraced it, and your country, wherever you are right now, likely followed suit. The goal was never to create philosophers, artists, or revolutionaries. The goal was to create employees. Think about the structure for a moment. Bells that condition you to move on command. Subjects divided into fragments, as if knowledge itself should be compartmentalized and never allowed to touch, to merge, to create something dangerously new. Mathematics exists in one box, never speaking to art. History lives separated from philosophy. Science never questions the ethics of its own application. You were taught what to think, never how to think. You memorized dates of wars, but never asked why humans keep repeating the same violence. You learned formulas, but never questioned who benefits from your ignorance of financial literacy. You were given answers to questions you never asked, and punished for asking questions that had no answers in the textbook. And here's the subtle poison. They called it success. If you could sit still for 8 hours, regurgitate information on demand, and never challenge authority, you were rewarded. Gold stars, honor rolls, scholarships. But if you were the child who couldn't stop moving, who asked too many questions, who saw the world in colors that didn't fit their grayscale curriculum, you were labeled difficult, distracted, defiant. The system doesn't have a place for those who can't be molded. It never did, because the system wasn't designed for human flourishing. It was designed for human function. You felt it, didn't you? Even as a child, something whispered to you that this wasn't right. The way creativity was scheduled for exactly 45 minutes on Tuesday afternoons. The way your curiosity was met with, "That's not on the test." The way dreaming was dismissed as distraction. Your soul knew, but they trained you to ignore that knowing, to trust the institution more than your own inner voice. They taught you that the grade was more important than the growth, that the diploma was more valuable than the discovery, that conformity was the price of acceptance. But here's what they never told you. Here's the secret hidden in plain sight. Every genius who changed the world, every artist who moved hearts, every revolutionary who shifted consciousness, they all had one thing in common. They unlearned what the system taught them. Einstein said the education system nearly destroyed his curiosity. Steve Jobs dropped out. Maya Angelou found her voice outside the classroom walls. They had to break free from the programming to access their true power, and so do you. Now, if you're starting to feel that familiar discomfort, that cognitive dissonance between what you were told to believe and what you're beginning to see, stay with me, because we're about to go deeper, and if this resonates with you, if you're ready to question everything you thought you knew about success, intelligence, and purpose, make sure you're subscribed to this journey. We're just getting started. Let's talk about what they actually taught you. Obedience disguised as discipline, conformity packaged as cooperation, submission marketed as respect. You learned to raise your hand before speaking, teaching you that your voice needs permission. You learned to ask for bathroom breaks, conditioning you that even your body's natural needs require authorization from an authority figure. You learned that being 5 minutes late was a moral failing, but being trapped in a system that wastes your potential for 12 years was just normal. You learned that your worth could be measured by a number, a percentage, a letter grade that someone else assigned to you based on criteria you had no part in creating. And the most insidious lesson of all, you learned to compete against your peers instead of collaborate with them. The kid sitting next to you wasn't a potential friend, partner, or co-creator. They were competition for the limited spots at the top of the curve. The system taught you scarcity when the universe operates on abundance. It taught you separation when everything in nature demonstrates interconnection. It taught you that someone else's success means your failure, creating a lifetime of comparison, jealousy, and isolation. Think about your friendships in school. Were they based on genuine connection, or were they strategic alliances within a survival game? Think about the subjects you hated. Were they actually boring, or did they kill your interest by teaching them without context, without passion, without showing you why they mattered? Math isn't boring. The way it's taught is boring. History isn't irrelevant. The way it's sanitized, whitewashed, and stripped of its revolutionary lessons is irrelevant. Science isn't just memorization, but when you reduce the cosmos to flashcards, you murder wonder. You were capable of so much more. That child who asked endless questions, who saw magic in everything, who believed they could be anything, that child was right. But the system couldn't handle that version of you. That version was too unpredictable, too authentic, too powerful. So they broke you down systematically, year after year, replacing your natural curiosity with their approved curriculum. They took the wild river of your consciousness and channeled it into their narrow aqueduct, telling you this was the only way water was supposed to flow. And your parents, bless them, they didn't know. They were products of the same system. They believed the lie because everyone they trusted believed it too. They pushed you to get good grades because they genuinely thought that was the path to a good life. They couldn't see that they were handing you the same chains that bound them, polished and presented as keys to freedom. The diploma was supposed to unlock doors, but nobody told you that the doors led to cubicles, to mortgages, to decades of trading your finite time for someone else's infinite profit. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's where the crack in the matrix becomes visible. More people are waking up than ever before. The internet, for all its chaos, created something the system never anticipated. Information outside their control. Stories of people who succeeded by breaking the rules, not following them. Examples of those who chose passion over pension, purpose over prestige, and found not just success, but fulfillment. The narrative is crumbling, and they know it. Look at how the system responds to this awakening. They double down. More standardized tests, more credentials required for entry-level positions, more student debt to keep you trapped, more fear about falling behind if you dare to step off their predetermined path. But what they frame as falling behind is actually stepping forward into your own life. What they call risky is actually the only thing that isn't risky, betting on yourself instead of betting on their outdated promises. So, what's the alternative? If the system is broken, what do you do? Here's the truth they'll never teach you in any classroom. You were born with everything you need. Your curiosity is your compass. Your passion is your purpose. Your questions are more valuable than their answers. The real education begins when you take responsibility for your own learning, when you follow what fascinates you instead of what's required, when you measure success by growth instead of grades. Start by unlearning. Question everything you were taught about intelligence, success, and worth. Intelligence isn't memorization. It's the ability to adapt, to think critically, to connect seemingly unrelated ideas. Success isn't a corner office. It's waking up excited about your day, contributing something meaningful, and sleeping peacefully at night. Your worth isn't determined by productivity. You have inherent value simply because you exist, because you're a conscious piece of the universe experiencing itself. Then, begin learning differently. Read books that weren't on any syllabus. Have conversations with people who think nothing like you. Travel, even if it's just to the other side of your city, and observe how others live. Create something, anything, without worrying if it's good enough. The process of creation teaches you more than 1,000 lectures ever could. Fail at something, and discover that failure isn't fatal. It's feedback. It's the universe showing you what doesn't work so you can discover what does. Surround yourself with people who question, who create, who refuse to accept, because that's how it's always been done. As a valid reason for anything. Find mentors outside the institution, people who've walked the path of authentic success and can guide you without trying to fit you into their mold. And most importantly, reconnect with that child you were before the system got to you. What did they love? What made them lose track of time? That's not childish. That's your soul speaking. That's the voice that knows your purpose better than any career counselor ever could. But here's the secret that goes even deeper, the one that almost nobody talks about. The system didn't just enslave your mind, it enslaved your perception of possibility. It convinced you that life is a straight line from birth to school, to job, to retirement, to death, with happiness scheduled for some distant future that never quite arrives. But life isn't linear, it's cyclical, spiral, multidimensional. You don't have one purpose. You have seasons of purpose. You don't have one path. You have infinite intersecting paths, and every choice creates new universes of possibility. The greatest rebellion isn't dropping out or rejecting everything. It's waking up. It's seeing the system for what it is, while using whatever parts of it serve your actual growth. It's getting the degree if it genuinely excites you, not because you're supposed to. It's working the job if it aligns with your values, not because you need to climb a ladder someone else built. It's rewriting the entire narrative of what a successful life looks like based on your own definition of success, not theirs. This is your life, not a dress rehearsal for some future performance, not a test you need to pass to earn the right to be happy. This moment, right now, is your life happening. And every moment you spend living according to someone else's programming is a moment you're not living at all. You're performing, you're executing their code, you're being the slave they designed you to be. But you're watching this, you made it this far, which means some part of you is already awake. Some part of you already knows the truth. The question is, what will you do with that knowing? Will you hit the snooze button, roll over, and go back to sleep because waking up is uncomfortable? Or will you stand up, stretch, and start walking toward the life that's been waiting for you this whole time? The education you need isn't in their classrooms. It's in your courage to question. It's in your willingness to fail. It's in your commitment to becoming who you actually are, instead of who they said you should be. That's the curriculum they'll never teach. Because a population of people who think for themselves, who create their own definitions of success, who refuse to trade their dreams for security, that population can't be controlled. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what the world needs right now. Not more obedient workers, but more awake humans. If this message found you at the right time, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, if it shifted something in you. Subscribe, because we're going to keep having conversations that challenge everything you thought you knew. And comment below with one thing you're going to unlearn, one belief the system taught you that you're ready to release. Your liberation begins with a single choice to think for yourself. Make it now.